fight. But you have given me two wings to soar among the heavenly beings. Your brightness is my shield around that keeps me high above the ground. I fly. To Iran and back. Hello, hello. Did everybody? Oh, I see. We back? Hello? Anyway, we're chit chatting about something very, very important while we lost the sound. Chris, we're glad. Okay, Chris, thanks for letting us know. Anyway, we're back on sound. We don't know what happened, but anyway, the B 2 bomber takes 30 hours and they don't stop, they just go. So I'm assuming they have pilots that trade off. And they have 30 tons, two 30 tons bombs, we'll just call them. And they each carries two. Now, I don't know how many they would send, but they are getting ready to send because they might not. But they're getting ready, if need be, because they've sent the fueling tanks over because they have to fuel in the air. So that's a pretty long journey. 30 hours is a long time to fly.
Yeah.
But, they're trained and all
Right.
that kind of stuff. But anyway, I remember when I guess we were already married, I guess, and lived in Sedalia, Missouri, I think, at the time. I'm trying to think of the year, but it doesn't matter. But maybe I was still in high school. I don't know. But I remember a report on like ABC, NBC News, and they brought a camera in and they stood a guy downtown Sedalia, Old Main Street it was, and they said, this is the number one spot in the nation of a nuclear attack. And I don't know why they would do Sedalia, which was it's about 30 miles less, 20 miles to the air base. We're about 40 miles, something like that, from the air base now. I don't know if anybody else could get it in 40 minutes, but I think I can. Many times I've been to the air base
to
get there, yeah, to drive there from where we are. But many times I've been on the air base, and many times I've driven around the air base. And now it's in the headline news because the B-2 bomber is able to do the bunker down 300 feet. The Iran has those nuke things, whatever they are. They're working on nuclear things, 300 feet into the ground. And these are the only weapon in the world, are just down the road from us. I can get there quick. That can bust through.
Yeah, that's a lot of power.
Yeah, those bunkers. Now, so they've already sent, our government or our president has already sent the fueling to fuel them so they can keep going those 30 hours without landing. And, oh, by the way, we see them fly. We have flyovers here, don't we? We see those B-2 bombers a lot.
Yeah.
They do baseball games and special events, and especially the Chiefs.
Amazing.
Yeah, I was out at our daughter's house when they flew over at the end of the season, and but I've seen many times, and they're supposed to be undetectable. So I teased somebody. Remember when people used to have radar detectors? They don't know. Everybody a long time ago, everybody had radar detectors. For rate
For
highway
speeding.
yeah, for speeding. And we had one.
Yeah.
We'll just say somebody gave it to us. I don't remember buying one, so somebody must have given it to us. But I joked somebody had one in their car, and I told them to throw it away. The B-2 bomber went over, and I said, "Uh-oh." I said, "Oh no, the B-2 bomber doesn't work. Your radar detector's going off." They said, "Really?" So of course I was joking because they can't be detected. So anyway.
That's a good joke.
Yeah. But anyway, I
Kind
remember
of.
they said this being in Sedalia, saying this is number one. So it's important to us. I don't know, really. It would be quite a feat at this time in history to get a nuclear warhead clear to the center of the United States, but not impossible with some countries. But anyway, the idea is that we're not going to allow, as you know, so we'll get to the news, we're not going to allow Iran to have nuclear weapons. And as much as I try all the time to support every president the best I can. Just because it's the honorable thing to do. I'm
Yeah.
not one of those but if I don't respect him as one more than less than the other one, then I just won't talk as much about it. But I do want to support our president right now, and his decision making. It's a lot is on him, and we don't know what he's going to decide with that. And then there's the idea of what will happen after that. And so I thought we could talk about it a little bit. But I respect our president because he is still saying he wants to negotiate. He wants to make a deal. He's the great deal maker. I'm not too bad at. You've been around me. I'm not too bad at deal maker myself, but not compared to him. President Trump is a great deal maker, and he has been doing it for many, many years. And so I think in the news, at least, he would still like to make a deal with them and calm this thing down. Okay. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But the idea then, you can see people are commenting about it. It's unthinkable if Iran would have nukes.
Yes.
And did you hear the story behind it? Why? There's got to be people thinking this. Why is it that Israel can have, or we can have, other nations can have nuclear warheads, but they won't let Iran have it? And there's a reason, is because Iran has opened its mouth so many times to say that it wants to annihilate or completely destroy Israel and the United States. So we go, well, then we can't share in this power because we have them. Israel has them, but Israel has no intention of attacking another country with them, and neither do we.
Right.
And hopefully none of the other countries. But Iran has already said that's what they'll do if they have them. So you've got to stop them because they've already played their hand, so to speak. So anyway, so I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I think I know what's going to happen. I don't think that Iran is going to make a deal, but if it gets bad enough, maybe so.
Maybe.
But
maybe.
Yeah, but you notice I have today as our title. You'll agree totally with this. You can't negotiate with the devil. You can't make a deal.
Oh.
And so that I respect our president for trying to, because it's the right thing to do, but they've already broken all their deals. And the reference I'd like to make about this then is, I might have mentioned this to you yesterday, the day before, that aren't we glad that Jesus didn't try to make a deal with the devil? He didn't make a deal, did he?
No.
No, he didn't negotiate with the demons. He didn't try to talk to them out of being demons or whatever. And you can't negotiate with the devil because you just can't. And that's so much of what has happened over the years, that people have tried to negotiate with Iran, Iraq, some of the other Middle Eastern countries, and they always break their deal. Yeah. Oh, yes. I didn't mean to bring this up, but it's interesting. I studied a little bit last night. In the middle of the night, I studied to get up on this, just for myself, not for our FaceTime, but for myself. How many deals Hitler made at the very beginning. And he even made a deal with this, it's not the Soviet Union. He even made a deal, that was later. He even made a deal with Russia. So he made a deal with Russia that he would attack Poland, and then Russia would attack Poland, and then they would divide it. And they had it divided. I don't know if it was equal, but they had it divided. And so when Poland was attacked, not by surprise because they knew Hitler was out to get somebody. They thought that Russia would come to their aid because Russia was in the forests towards the Russian side, and they thought they were there to help come to their aid. They had made a deal. Now, but guess what happened to that deal? Do you know why Hitler really imploded himself, destroyed himself and his mission? He attacked Russia after he made the deal. Russia made a deal with him, and they attacked Poland together.
Right.
But then, but maybe within a year, then Hitler turned and attacked Russia, and of course there's a divided front. You know, a kingdom divided cannot stand,
Right.
and he divided himself.
Yeah.
Stupid thing to do, but he wanted what they had and their land and to help him do what he wanted to do and to conquer the world, or at least Europe. And so he turned on them, and that was his demise. If he had not attacked Russia, I'm not sure how he would have been stopped, because even in Normandy, when we and Europe and the powers, our powers, not the Axis powers, that's the other side, when they attacked at Normandy Beach,
Yeah.
they did such a great job of fooling the Germans. They thought they were going to attack at another place, and they sent the biggest armada in the history of the world went to Normandy. Okay, and it was even deceptive. They didn't know they were going to attack them. Did you know they even put Patton in charge of fake balloon blow up? You know what blow up things are for kids. You blow
Yeah.
up something for a kid,
Yeah.
play in. They were blow up tanks and blow up trucks at the other place. They were fakes, and they placed them everywhere. So, look what they're arming. But they were just blow up dolls, so to speak, of tanks and trucks. That's how they went. Now, the point being is, even with all that, the biggest armada in the history of the world went to Normandy, or the beaches there, Osage Beach and such. And it was tough fighting. It was not easy. Yes, we were able to do it, but it was tough. They speak about it today, those that are still alive, or history was tough. Imagine if Hitler had not been also fighting on the other front, on the Russian front. But what got him, of course, was the Russian winter, which got Napoleon too. You know that. Maybe Napoleon went and got caught in the Russian winter, and it knocked him out. But they did not. They anticipated a faster move, would get in there and get done. But when, of course, they had Stalingrad, named after Stalin, which he was a terror too. We don't hear much. Hitler was so bad, and he was so much in the news that Stalin because he ended up being on our side. He ended up fighting against the Germans, so we don't demonize him so much. That guy was a bad guy. He probably murdered as many Jews and Christians and people as maybe more than Hitler did, but that's another story. But anyway, the Russian people were so invigorated to win that Hitler could not hardly take anything. But it was the winter that got him. They went in their spring clothes. I got a nice spring shirt on that you bought me, by the way. Did you get me this for Father's Day, or just it happened to be Father's Day, didn't it? Almost.
Yeah,
No,
it
it was a
worked
little
out.
before Father's
Yeah,
Day.
yeah.
Anyway,
For your birthday or
okay,
something.
yeah, just because I'm a great guy, right? Anyway, I got this new shirt on
Yeah.
today.
You needed some.
Yeah, it was out of need, right?
Yeah.
So they went in their spring clothes, and then the winter hit early, hard, and it was horrible. They froze to death. They didn't have food, and then they ran out of ammunition. And so, being that way, but the point I made is Hitler made a deal with Stalin, and then knowing all along that he wasn't going to keep it, and attacked Russia. And that's what ruined. That's really what stopped Hitler. Was yes, the Americans, yes, the Europeans, of course England, the UK, great people. The UK fought. You can't even imagine what they went through to win, thanks to Winston Churchill, I think. But they met then. Of course, we had Roosevelt, and then Stalin, and then Winston Churchill met together. But it turned out, of course, that Russia kind of became the enemy after that. But they tried to make deals, and so they made a deal with Hitler, and he was going to take the Sudetenland, I think, and they said, "That's all I want. Just give me that." And everybody, Chamberlain of England, did you know that he 6 months he resigned as prime minister, and then Winston Churchill was prime minister? Did you know he only lived about 6 months later?
Oh,
Yeah, he died. Like I think it was 6 months. It's close to that. Neville Chamberlain. Yeah, isn't that amazing? That he got. I guess he would have died in office or whatever, or just whatever. But anyway, they said, we just want this. That's all we want. And then they took more, and they took, of course, Poland was the big thing that started the war when they went to Poland. But they were fooling around Norway, and Russia then attacked. Well, no, Germany attacked Finland. We have our friend Finland here, and that was the great battle of. That general was named Mannheim, wasn't he? Or you're supposed to what? Well, you say
Mannerheim.
but you're saying it to me in Finnish, aren't you?
Yes, he is.
Mannerheim. Anyway, I got it pretty close. He was the great general
saying
that
it
did
in German.
did the that did the great battle that pushed them back, and that. But anyway, and the Russians, of course, it just everybody lied. Even there's a little bit of lying came on the United States too. But should I not talk about that?
Let's
Not
whatever
really.
you want to do.
No, my point being is what?
You cannot negotiate with the devil.
That's right, and
No, you can't.
Jesus didn't.
No, he didn't.
That's my point.
That's right.
You know what? It
Yeah.
was what we need to, in my opinion.
Yes.
I appreciate everybody trying to negotiate, but we need to know that truth, right? You can't really.
That's right.
You can delay, but you
Yeah.
can't negotiate.
Right.
So my point being is Jesus did not negotiate with the devil.
Okay.
And we, in my opinion today, there has to be a winner and there has to be a loser. You can't be an in-between.
That's right.
We need whatever country we're talking about.
That's right.
Whether it later be China, who is also involved with Iran. We know that, don't we?
Yeah.
And Russia's a friend of Iran too, but which is another story. But
Right.
Jesus did not negotiate with the devil. Can you imagine if he had sat down and tried to make a deal?
Yeah.
I don't want to belittle what our president's doing. He's doing the right thing to try, but in the long run, it's not going to work. In the short run, maybe we can.
Right.
But if they say they're not going to have nukes and they still have them, then something's going to have to
course.
give. And so I will be surprised if we don't do something about that. But nevertheless, I like it that Jesus did not negotiate with the devil. He said it's going to be complete defeat.
Yeah.
And that's what I like how
Total.
Jesus did it.
Total.
Complete, total defeat. Now, it appears that it isn't because of the timetable of allowing two kingdoms to reign at the same time. We got the kingdom of darkness and the kingdom of light are coinciding at the same time, which is no surprise because we have the example of that all the way along. But of course, the kingdom of King Saul and the kingdom of King David ran simultaneously, but King Saul ended in a bad way, and the devil's going to end in a bad way. So we have them running simultaneously, which is kind of theologically hard. Why didn't we just go for it, like go after the bunkers of the devil, But they coincided at the same time, and they still do. But that doesn't mean he's not totally, totally defeated. And it's in God's word of what's going to happen to him, and he will be ineffective totally. Yeah. So Jesus did not make a deal with the devil, and you can't make a deal with the devil, and I don't think we can in our day either. No. Once we realize it is the devil,
right?
Maybe another thing I should say that I think is we have a lot of deal making going on in the United States with politicians, alternate lifestyles, woke education, people that don't want to see this happen or that happen, and of course the riots going on and all things like that, and immigration, all those things happening. The same lesson. You cannot make a deal
Right.
with them. I mean,
No.
on this immigration, Kathy, what kind of deal could you make with them if you did try to make a deal? Because what they want is they want us to stop deporting
Hmm. Illegal
illegal
criminals.
criminals. Or just, well, all
Illegal.
of them are,
Well,
if they're illegal, they're
yeah,
all criminals.
they are.
Now, some are real lawbreaker criminals, dangerous criminals, and some just broke the law and came into the country and have not gone the way of
Right.
legal. There's a legal way to
Yeah,
do
there's
it.
a legal way.
But either way, they're illegal, and so you can't make a deal with this. And a lot of people, what they're saying is, we'll stop rioting if you'll stop deporting. Well, that's a deal you can't make because
No.
you just can't do that. It's going to be you can't make it
Deal
becomes
with the
devilish.
devil.
Yeah,
It's-
you can't make a deal with the devil.
Right.
And these are the big
Yeah.
criminals that they want to deport,
Yeah.
and the murderers and such, and gang members and like that.
Lawlessness.
It's lawlessness, and
Yeah,
you can't make lawlessness. You can't make a
That's
deal
right.
because they're lawless.
No,
They're not going to
exactly.
change.
And they may negotiate and make you think they're making a deal, but if they're lawless, there's no deal.
Yeah, and the devil is the king of lawlessness.
That's right.
He has no law to it.
Yeah.
His law is himself,
Yeah.
basically. So that's just my speech today. Is we don't know. This afternoon, Kathy,
Yeah.
something could change in the world that
Right.
changes world history.
Yeah.
Changes history. We are history makers. We're making history. We'll be we'll be the generation that'll be written about if Jesus doesn't hurry up and return, which would be okay with me.
Yeah.
But we are the generation then that, and not you and me so much, but the people that are doing things right now will be in the history books because this is big stuff.
Yeah.
But well, I was about ready to end, but I'm not going to end yet.
Okay.
Can I keep going for another minute?
Certainly.
Okay. You asked me. I think you asked me about, well, what do you think about Israel? I think it was yesterday, the day before, we were watching the news and seeing the drones and rockets going.
Mm-hmm.
And you asked me, what does all this mean? And I answered you quickly, and I said, it means Israel's moving forward.
Yeah.
Israel's moving forward.
Yeah.
It's going to be forward.
Mm-hmm.
The kingdom is moving forward.
That's right.
Israel's being moved forward. Now, that doesn't mean it's not costly
Yeah.
and hurtful and dreadful
Yes.
for, well, all the nations, including, we prayed for Ukraine the other
Yeah.
day because we have friends. Now I say that we have friends there. We have somebody here whose family is there, so it's important to us a little more close to home. But the people that are dying in wars is a bad deal. I can't imagine
Horrible.
what some of them are going through in
Horrible.
Israel and Iran
Yes.
and in the Gaza.
yeah.
Okay, it's terrible, but it's still forward.
Yeah.
And we look back to a lot of the Jewish people when we were in Israel a lot, and the Jewish people here, and they brought up the Holocaust a lot. They're still trying to figure out how and what and why, and it's not an easy thing, except for one thing. It's not easy to explain. It's not easy to do biblically, in my opinion. But there is one thing we can say about the Holocaust: as bad as it was still moving forward. God moved Israel forward at a high price, right?
Yeah.
It was birth pains. It was painful, terrible. And we have some survivors that can tell still today how terrible it was in pictures. But it was still forward. Now what's going on in Israel today, because some people died the other day, and it's not a pretty picture. You can see all the buildings. But I just want to say to our folks and those listening, it's forward. I know it's forward. I know that God is moving Israel forward, but it's not cheap. Forward is not cheap. The advancing kingdom is not cheap. It's costly. It costs people lives. It costs persecution. It is still a battle, but we already know the devil has been defeated.
Yeah.
It's been declared. His end is in sight, and so he's sort of wasting his time, but he can't quit. He just can't stop.
No.
He can't. The devil can't repent, and he can't make a deal. You can't make a deal with the devil. So that's where we are, in my opinion. I'm not saying what's going to happen on either side. I'm just saying, with Israel particularly, it is moving forward. And we, as the United States of America, are the people who are helping move it forward. And I think as long as we continue to do that, God will be with us and help us, because there's no other nation can do what we can do to help move Israel forward. And why does Israel have to move forward? There are promises to the people, the covenant people, the original covenant. Because you remember, the Bible says it's a better covenant that Jesus made, a better one. It's not an annulment of the
Right.
first. It's an improvement of the first.
Yeah, better.
Isn't that important?
Yes.
So there's still promises out there that I expect to see on Jewish people, and but we need it in the Christian community too.
Yeah.
The Christian community is, compromised, mostly around the world, and especially in this country, is a compromised community. And so we can't, our people, our folks, our Christian folks, you can't make a deal with the devil. You can't compromise. You can't be in the middle. There is no middle road. There's no fence to ride, right?
Yeah.
It's either or, hot or cold, right? In or out. So anyway, that's just what I'm thinking today. Is it exciting times? Yes. I wish I was younger, because in my brain and my prayers and my heart, I was made for this, because all my life I've understood these things, and now I see it happening in my lifetime. I pray sometimes, Kathy, that I could be more of an influencer, but what I told you today, some people don't want to hear. They want to negotiate. They want that middle road. And so when I say this, then that kind of knocks me out. It also knocks me out because we have religious people that are in control and influencing politicians, and they're just influencers, okay? And they don't want anybody else on the forefront either.
Sure.
That's outspoken like our president is. That's that clear cut, because they're negotiators too. And so it's a kind of a big mess, but nevertheless, we are moving forward. It is the advancing kingdom, and I feel bad for those that hurt and die, and on all sides. There a lot of Christians in Iran too. And there's Palestinian Christians too. So I feel bad for all people, but especially the family of God. But that's what's happening, and we live in exciting times. But the best word I can give today: you can't negotiate. You can't make a deal with the devil. And that's my word for today.
Good.
You like that?
Yes.
And we can take that with us. I'm sorry I talked the whole time. I didn't hardly let you say a word.
That's all right. I purposed not to.
Yeah, but you're a good audience.
Thank you.
Yeah, pretty too.
Did I inspire you?
You're a pretty audience sitting there while I just ramble on. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that's my words for today. Thank you for your support. Keep loving God, and let's keep moving.